Great. All right. Well, Dr. Tillotson asked us to start the class today, the 9 o'clock class, with a few moments of prayer. The governor of Iowa asked us to make this like a state day of prayer. So as everyone's kind of getting caught up and getting logged in, I just wanted to pray before we start the class, and specifically pray for all this crazy stuff that's going on with COVID. And so let's take a moment and pray, and then we'll get started. God, thank you that we get to still have our classes, even though we're all located all over the United States. And Lord, we thank you that we're in a situation where we're all healthy and our families are healthy. Lord, I pray you'll just continue to protect us, protect our country, help us to make wise decisions, help our leaders to govern in a way that would please you. Pray for those that are out there working in the medical field, especially as they deal with people on the front lines, that you'll keep them safe. Lord, please be merciful to our country and help us to come out on the other side of this wiser. And Lord, I pray that you'll just continue to give the leadership of our college wisdom as we make decisions about the future, about scheduling, about planning. Pray for the other professors today as they're teaching their classes, and some of them are, it's a real challenge to switch over to this technology because of the size of their classes or the type of the content. I pray you'll just bless them as they learn these new systems. And Lord, help me to do a better job with all this tech as well. I pray for the students that you'll bless them, encourage them as they're studying from home and trying to balance home life and school and work. And I pray that you'll just continue to help them all to grow to be better, more godly leaders in your name. Amen. All right. Okay. It looks like everyone's here now. David's here. Dr. Doofenshmirtz is here. Okay, great. Well, today we have some book reviews. And I went back and looked at the instructions for book report on the, here, I'll just pull this up for everybody so that we can kind of all be looking at the same thing. Right here in Canvas. So can you see the book report on Canvas right now? Yes? Okay. So basically I said in here, you know, your write-up for your book is 8 to 10 paragraphs or so. 80% needs to be a summary of the key points of the book. That's kind of how I know you read it. 20% should be an outline of your thoughts about the book and how you see it applying to organizational leadership. And then a 12 to 15 minute summary of the book. I'd be fine if you did 9 to 10 minutes. You're fine if you go a little short. Definitely do not go long, all right? If you go any longer than 15 minutes, I'll just say, let me just read the book myself. Okay, and you're going to give an oral summary. You don't have to use any visuals, but if you do have visuals, you can use screen share to help us all be engaged with what you're talking about, or you can send us all something through chat, whatever. So then I need to go back and look at who was it that was first in the randomizer here. So stand by. We'll look at the announcement. I mean, maybe you already know. Noah, David, do you guys know which one of you showed up first on the list?
I think I was first.
Okay. All right. Well, let me kill this screen share here. And go ahead, Noah. It's all yours.
All right.
Oh, and
Sweet.
let me remind everyone, everyone's doing a summary of your, so it's kind of like our reading summaries, and you could do this in real time. If you open up Canvas while they're doing their review, you could write up your summary and you could submit it in real time if you want. Put both summaries on the same entry. There's some instructions there in Canvas as well. So there's an assignment for each day of the summaries. So these two summaries are on the same assignment in Canvas, and you could do it while you're listening if you want. So, okay. No, it's all yours.
All right. What's that, dude?
So is this under reading summary like 1 and 2, or is it under the 3 and 4?
You guys, so I have, you guys are 3 and 4. So, and if you're the one presenting that day, then of course you don't have to summarize your own. Just write down that you did it, whatever. So yeah, it should be the assignment is attached to the date. So the assignment for today is the review for the day. All right. Okay, all yours.
All right. Well, I actually made a PowerPoint for this. I hope you all enjoy it. See if I can. So it looks like you disabled share screen, Mr. Baldwin.
All right. I've never had to share. I'm not.
Well, I've never had to.
I'm not into sharing.
Present.
All right. I think I just enabled multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Okay.
Let me see here. Okay. All participants. Okay. I think you can do it now.
All right. Let's see how it goes. Yeah. Everyone see that? White screen. Hopefully this works. Oops. Oh, come on, please work. There we go. Oop. There we go. Welcome to the presentation. So this is a book report that I put together. But before we begin, how introverts be like during quarantine? Just reading a book, minding their own business. What do you want? Just leave me alone, all right? How extroverts be like during quarantine? I mean, they're miserable. Like, they just want to escape. They just want to get out, all right? So how Mr. Baldwin would be like during quarantine? He makes a YouTube channel. This is awesome. Like, I watched some videos, and they're just fire. Like, I subscribed. Y'all should subscribe to Jared Baldwin. I mean, his videos are fire. 2 thumbs up, all right? It's great. Now let's get into the book. The book's called Raving Fans. This is a book review by me. So this is the cover of the book. It's all about customer service, and the main point of it is satisfied customers just aren't good enough. Satisfied customers may keep to themselves like any issues that they don't want to share. And the whole point of the book is to create raving fans. That's the name of customers who are engaged. They love your product, love your company. They just really, really enjoy the customer service that you provide. So the book starts off with a guy, he's called the area manager. He doesn't have a name, just goes by area manager without the book. And one day he's in his office and he's approached by a fairy godmother. But here's the catch. The fairy godmother is a dude. So yeah, but not like that. He's like an older guy, all right? So it reminded me of Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life. So, and his name's Charlie. So Charlie comes to his office. He's like, hey, I'm going to teach you the 3 key secrets to creating raving fans. The area manager's like, all right, well, I want to learn more. Like, tell me more. So throughout the book, them two, they go golfing like all the time, it seems like. I don't know how the area manager gets any work done, but whenever they go golfing, then Charlie will talk to him a little bit. And they go on field trips to places. They go to a lot of places when they're done golfing. So the first place they go to, I believe, is a grocery store. And that's where they learn the first secret to creating raving fans. Or not the grocery store, it was a mall. But anyways, I think he visits both. Anyways, first secret to creating raving fans, decide what you want. When you decide what you want, you must create a vision of perfection centered on the customer. So when you do that, what that means is like a bad attitude when working will be reflected when treating customers. That's like a little sub point right there. You just got to create a vision for what you want, how you want to serve the customers, and like see what they want and whatnot. The second secret to creating raving fans, discover what the customer wants. Really ties into point 1 really well. Tell me what you want. So what do you want me to do? What do you want from me? Unless you have a vision, how can you understand the customers? When you find out what the customers really want and their vision is, it will likely focus on just 1 or 2 things. Your own vision has to fill in the gaps. You have to know when to ignore what the customer wants, and if necessary, tell the customer to take his vision elsewhere to be fulfilled. Now, I'm just going to stop here right now. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me at any point.
In business, Noah, they call that firing the customer. It's a kind of a up and coming term. You'll hear it a lot because there does come a time where you can't meet the need that the customer, their expectation might not be something that you can meet, or you might not be the right fit. And so you have to be honest about that. I have an accounting friend, and she said, one customer that comes in that takes up 10 hours of their time and creates all kinds of havoc and bad feelings amongst the staff is not worth the revenue that they generate. So they'd rather send that customer on to someone else or somewhere else and have, people that aren't going to disrupt their whole workplace, because there's a long-term cost to that. So yeah, firing the customer.
Interesting. Firing the customer. So the second secret, when the area manager and Charlie go on a field trip, they visit a guy named Bill. He's a owner of a manufacturing plant. And according to Bill, all you need to do is discover the customer's vision of what they really want, and then alter your vision if need be. So that's where the fill in the gaps comes into play. And then this third secret, deliver the vision plus 1%. Discover what the customer wants. So let's see here, my notes. So you want to deliver all the time, be consistent, and walk the talk. So don't just advertise that you do one thing, but then your customer service shows a completely different thing. That's just going to leave a bad taste in customers' mouths. Make sure you do the plus 1%. That's what they call it. Let's see. You want to meet expectations first, and then exceed them second. So go above and beyond. Increase bit by bit, percent by percent. And in the story, the AM and Charlie, they meet a guy named Andrew. So Andrew, he's the owner of a chain of gas stations, and he has an office, and he overlooks, and he observes what the customers do at the pump. And notice in the book, it's not a self-serve pump. He actually has people go out and clean the windshields, fill the gas, check the oil, be really nice to them, give them goodie bags, whatnot, give them coupons. They're really nice. And Andrew, this is kind of a creepy way to do it. You don't want to do it like that. Be more like this guy. What do the customers want? How can I improve on this? What can I do better to help them? How can I serve them? It has to do with flexibility and consistency. Flexibility has to do with what is being delivered as part of the customer service product. Consistency has to do with how it is being delivered. And see, you have a little pie chart for customer service. There's 3 parts: accuracy, consistency, flexibility. So, yeah. These are your customers right now. Boo. This is terrible. Give me what I want. And they're laughing at you on the inside. You don't want that. These are your customers after you put what you just learned into practice. Satisfaction through the roof. They're not satisfied, they're not happy, they're not thrilled, they're wow. All right, they all want to go to your place and buy your product. Those are your raving fans. That's the end. Now go create raving fans. Don't forget to check out the Organizational Leadership YouTube channel.
Nice. That's great. You can give them a hand through the little reactions tab at the bottom. You can literally do clappy hands, or you can do this. Good job, Noah. Man, I haven't read that book in about, I think, 3 or 4 years. That was excellent. I really enjoyed that. So
thank you. Stop share. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. So overall, that book was basically like a fable with little points put into the story, which make for kind of an easy read. So overall, did you like the book, Noah?
I did. I really did.
Yeah. Would you recommend it to what kind of person, like in business, what kind of person do you think that book would benefit?
I think they made the book to benefit anyone because they don't give a title to the area manager. They don't tell you what business it is, what product he sells. That's where even for me, I really enjoyed it, and I don't even know what business I'll get into. So really, it just any business. And in the book, Charlie and the AM, they visit grocery store, department store in the mall, manufacturing plants, and a gas station. So really, size fits all of them.
Yeah. I think each one of those stores too actually is representative, each of those locations, of real businesses that McKay was aware of, or people that he had dealt with in the past. And so, yeah, we had all of our front office people read the book at Harvest as a ministry, because we wanted school parents and people coming into our church and stuff and people coming in to pay their school bills and drop their kids off. And we wanted them all to be Raving fans, because the absolute best marketing you could ever do is having a customer that just loves you and is loyal, and they tell all their neighbors and friends and family. It's better than any advertising campaign, is good word of mouth. So excellent. Thank you very much, Noah. David, you are up. Calvin and Hobbes. That's a good, although Calvin and Hobbes are totally obscured by your cranium, but that's okay. All right, David, what book did you read?
It's called The 7 Practices of Effective Ministry. And before I begin, I'd like to take 3 minutes to tell Mr. Baldwin how great he is. And just kidding, Noah.
Hey, I took that as just honest assessment. I didn't take that as compliment or any kind of,
Did you watch the videos, David?
Oh.
Well, granted, how the few that I looked at were of the class, and I watched his introduction explaining the channel, and I thought that was pretty cool. So.
Hey, that's a good start. That's a good start. You should look at the book review I did yesterday. So you can tell I'm getting bored if I'm starting to put out web content like on a daily basis. So, but thank you very much. Okay, back to the book.
All right. All right. 7 Practices of Effective Ministry. The book is in 2 parts. It begins with a parable, and then the second part is an explanation of the parable. So the story begins, there's this guy named Ray, and he is a pastor. And he's kind of feeling burned out. He's really frustrated with the direction his church is going, the different suggestions from the deacon board, particularly this one deacon. And he's really stressed. He's not feeling like he's really doing anything. And a friend invites him to a baseball game. And so he goes and he meets this guy at the baseball game named Pete. And they begin to talk, and Pete finds out he's the pastor, and then Pete challenges him in 7 different ways. And so the 7 different practices are: clarify the win, think steps, not programs, narrow the focus, teach more for less, or teach less for more, my bad. Listen to outsiders, replace yourself, and work on it. So the book goes through each of those steps and explains them out, and how, what it can look like in your church ministry. So clarifying the win, that's like, make sure you know what it is that you want your church to, the direction you want your church to go in. It's not just like, the goal for your church is not just to have a large attendance or lots of money being brought in. You need to establish what it is you want your church to be like how much, like, you want to decide how you want to reach people and what that's going to look like, and make sure that everyone else knows what you as the leader want your church to be able to do, and make sure there's no like conflicting agendas that are keeping people from performing. The next practice is think steps, not programs. And I thought this chapter was especially interesting because, like, when we think of our church, we always think of, our kids programs, our young adults, our college and career, our teens, our, or whatever's. And the book was saying, don't go into your church thinking like, hey, what kind of programs should we make? And then how are we going to do those? Instead, think about what or where do we want our people to end up, like spiritually, where are they right now? Where would we want them to be? And then how are we going to get them from here to there? And when you approach it like that, the programs are going to come more naturally. So, because if you did it the other way around, you'd be coming up with a bunch of programs that might be nice, but they aren't necessarily meeting your people. They aren't ministering to the people as effectively. The third one was narrow the focus. So after you've decided where you want your people to be and what the different programs in your church or ministry, what they look like, narrowing the focus is basically don't kind of spread yourself too much. And if it looks like some of your programs are inhibiting the effectiveness of other programs, then it's a good idea to eliminate a few things. That way your other programs can grow and become more effective without all these other things holding them back. The fourth practice is narrow. Okay, when I was retyping this, I was teach less for more. And this was something that I've often struggled with when I was teaching at a church with their kids program. I had this fear that I was going to be teaching the kids like false doctrine or whatever if I didn't explain everything about a particular passage. And so I was getting into a bunch of like random stuff that was going way over their heads, and like I was stumbling over myself because I was trying to like explain these complex principles and truths to a bunch of like 9-year-olds, and I just kept on tripping over myself that I ended up confusing myself, and then I didn't even understand what I was saying. And so teaching less is you find the truths that are relevant to the people that you're trying to teach, and you explain those to them so that they come away with, it might be a small little chunk of knowledge, but that small chunk of knowledge can have big and lasting possibilities. It's like the book set examples, like if we have our kindergartners walk out of Sunday school and all they can remember is like God loves me and God wants to know me and God made me, he's like, that's good. Like you don't teach your kids, your kindergarten kids, about the beast in Revelation. You don't necessarily get into David's sin with Bathsheba with a bunch of first graders. You can teach them about all that other stuff, because all that stuff is good, but you teach people on their level. Next one is listen to outsiders. So do you guys remember when we talked about in class about think tanks? So think tanks are that thing where everyone gets together, they're brainstorming, and they don't allow outside help. And that can kill a lot of your projects, because if you don't receive help from anyone, you can miss a lot of things, and that can turn out badly. And same goes for ministries. If you just as a church are trying to come up with different programs and way to minister to other people, but you don't know what is out there and what the environments are like for the people that you want to minister to, it's going to turn out very badly. Because if the only thing that you're used to is what goes on in a church, and you're trying to reach out to people who have never been in a church before, that you're not going to be relatable, and it's going to be harder to connect with people, and it's just going to turn out very poorly. The sixth practice is replace yourself. And this is kind of hard for me as I was reading about this, because I hate goodbyes, I hate endings. So a section that's talking about you eventually leaving your ministry, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't really like this. But as I was reading it, I was thinking, like, if you don't teach people to be able to work without you, then you're inhibiting them. Because if they can't move beyond a competency that's only there when you're around, then once you like retire or you die or you just have to move on, you have crippled that ministry, and that ministry is going to eventually die because nobody knows how to step up and lead. So, and it's not a bad thing for you to leave one particular ministry, because God has a plan for you. And so his plan might be for you to be in this one place for 1 year, and then he moves you to another place for 10 years. So if anything, the reach of your influence gets bigger if you do move on. So if you are moving on, you need to make sure that, and even if you're not moving on immediately, you need to make sure that you're training people to be able to take over without you. And then the last one is called work on it. This is where you analyze your progress. You meet together and discuss things that need to be worked out. But you also look and see how far you've gone, and you reward progress. And I don't think that we do that enough. Sometimes we get too caught up in, well, I'm not where I need to be yet, that we ignore all the growth that God has taken us through. And our progress is a testimony of his working, and that needs to be shared, because that can bless and encourage our teams. So yeah, that was
Excellent. Great. It's anytime you have a book that has like a list, you can't focus just on any one point. You got to go through all 7. So thank you, David. Andy Stanley, the author of that book, he's the I think you can call him the one main thought guy. So when he preaches, he tries to always leave everyone with one main thought. So if you walk out of a 45-minute sermon, and someone says, "What was that message about?" Every person that leaves the room could say what the one main thought was, which goes along with the principle here. Also, another thing. Well, first off, let's all give David a round of applause for his hard work. Thank you very much, David. In August, Lord willing, we are going to try to go to an Iowa Cubs game, but also get the behind the scenes. We're going to meet. I met a guy from Ankeny Christian. His kids are Ankeny Christian. He works for the Iowa Cubs. I think he's the head of their marketing. So maybe do like a class field trip down there, get the backstage pass of what happens at the Cubs, maybe do a meal together, and then stay for a game. That's my plan right now for August. We'll see how the baseball season's affected and stuff like that. But he's already tentatively agreed to let us come down and do all that. Might be really fun. So, and who knows, that might open up opportunity for a future internship for one of you if you want to work for a sports internship. So, okay. Thank you, David. Thank you, Noah. Great job, guys. Before we move on, real quick, has anyone heard back from the Community Spread Encouragement Project from anyone that you haven't already mentioned, like in the other class? Has anyone heard back from the person they wrote to? David?
Yeah, I did a couple weeks ago. I had Ben from Ben's Burgers, or
yes,
whatever it's
yeah,
called. And he's doing okay. He said it was good to hear from me, and that he's still, as of a couple weeks ago, he's still staying busy, even though the virus is going on. But
Yeah, if you, Charlie and Brandon did a video on Facebook where they went to Ben's Burgers, and we were going to do a field trip there. We were going to go to Ankeny Family Vision and then go to Ben's Burgers and surprise him, because he literally was opening the week of spring break. So we'd go there, kind of see what it's like to be the first week of business, which is always challenging. So thanks for doing that. Anyone else hear back a good story or a quick word of testimony? Noah.
So I had Roger Stahlheim, who did our Trimetrics evaluation. So I sent him a nice email. He got back to me like 4 hours later. He sent me a good letter too. I won't go into the specifics because I don't know how many other people he shared with, but essentially he's lost quite a bit of business. There are a few deals that were kind of pulled out from under him because of this, and his income got cut drastically. So he went from being able to expand to achieve a lot more to being cut back quite a bit. But throughout the email he sent that he replied to me with, it seems like his attitude's right and his heart's in the right place. So I encouraged him, and I commended him for keeping his attitude in check and having a good heart about it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm taking Dr. Tillotson actually out to his office on Friday to introduce him. And Roger.
Roger did mention that to me.
Oh, good.
Just recently, yeah. We've been staying in touch quite a bit, actually.
Good. So. So you guys, it's hard for you to put yourself in the shoes of the people that are out there in business. And some of the people aren't going to be as responsive, right? But you just never know. You might have a 67-year-old Roger Stahlheim that gets that email, and it's just at the same time he just got bad news or found out that a deal is not going to go through. And so those little words of encouragement God really uses. So I'm really glad you guys did it. Any other quick testimonies or feedback from that? All right. Has anyone not heard back from whoever they wrote to? Okay, Emmy. All right. Emmy, who have you not heard back from yet?
I haven't heard back from either of them.
Okay, did you have Mandy P-Tig, and who was the other one?
From Papa Murphy's. Where is he?
Oh, Joel Smith.
Joel Smith.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know that Mandy and her husband Todd have both been, basically they had to shut down. So, and I think the email that you have is pretty much her work email. So I expect you'll eventually hear back, but okay. All right. Well, thank you guys again. And if that person that you sent the letter to extends the offer of staying in touch, certainly do that. You could use all of the contacts and friends and mentors that you can get at this stage of life. So if you think that person, would be a good person for you to stay in contact with, definitely respond and stay in touch. You just never know how that's going to come back to be a blessing to you later on and a blessing to them. Okay, let's see here. We're going to talk about the 100-year project now. And I'm going to break you out into your teams. And what I want you to do is take a few minutes, maybe like, I don't know. I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms. The assignment for everyone that stays in the room is to come up with a team name. But I'm going to pull Max and Caleb out to talk to me for just a minute. So, matter of fact, I'm going to add a room here. I'm going to pull Max and let's see. Move to breakout room 3. Sorry, Max, I'm going to move you to breakout room 3. Okay, so the people that do go into the breakout rooms, I'd like you to come up with a team name, all right? And then we can kind of easily identify, instead of it being Team Max or Team Caleb, maybe everyone on the team could come up with some ideas. You guys can talk about it. I'll talk to Caleb and Max separately. So I'm going to send you all an invitation right now. Jared, did you get an invitation to a breakout room? Guys, I forgot that I actually had to join the room that I invited you to. So, all right. Let's see here. So I've got the document shared, or I will be sharing it here. Hold on. Just to make sure. So just want to walk through this real quick with you guys. As we talked about yesterday, you're kind of in step 2. So we got the roles figured out, develop a method for research, collection, presentation, and coming up step 3 with how does the team work together to help each other with their roles. So it's not just one person doing one job, and when they're done with that, they're out, but everyone's constantly until the whole project's done. So what kind of feedback are you getting from your team members? Are they responding? Do you need me to say something to everyone to remind them? What would help you guys out? How can I help you win?
Well, I actually haven't talked to them since yesterday, so
Okay.
I was gonna talk to them after
Yep.
the classes today, and just kind of talk through what we talked about. So as far as that goes, I don't really have a lot to say until probably after.
Okay. And if something comes up when you do talk to them, just let me know. If you think that something coming from me will help reinforce or clarify, you could also, let's say that I think Katie's the compiler for one team. Who's the compiler for the other team?
Jared is.
Okay. So they could also contact me if they have any questions directly, and I can give them some instructions. So
Okay.
I just want you to know that I'm available to help your teams kind of continue to move forward. I definitely don't want it to stall because I haven't communicated enough. Caleb, what about your guys and girls?
I've had 3. I've had 3 of them. After I talked to you about the trying to get like a report together, something kind of organized to kind of just send up the chain a little bit. I've had 3 so far. Emmy got back to me this morning, and Krista and Noah got to me on time. So I'm missing Dylan and Jared. Yeah, I'm missing Dylan and Jared. Their responses, but I can reach out to them again.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. You're walking a fine line. There are deadlines, but anytime there's like a self-imposed deadline, you have room to be flexible. When you have an externally imposed deadline, there's no flexibility, right? So we haven't set any hard and fast external deadlines yet. So everyone's kind of getting used to how this is going to work out. So just kind of put gentle pressure on there, but you don't have to drop the hammer on them at this time. And really,
no.
If you ever felt like there was one person that just wasn't getting it, you just let me know and I would talk to them privately, and I'll never make it a hard thing. This is like everyone's kind of learning. The project is only one part of what we're learning. It's also, for you guys, it's leadership opportunity. And you can put on your resume after this that you were the project team leader for the 100-year, marketing thing for the college, whatever. Put that on there as one of your accomplishments. So there's that piece of it. There's also just something that we're going to talk about next semester in our team class is called group dynamics, like how teams work together. Every team has a little different chemistry, and we went through all those functional roles and team roles, but now you're actually seeing it come into play. And then you're seeing those personalities on those little assessment cards that we usually put on the table. You're seeing those personalities come to the surface. So I don't know if you noticed, like today, so Noah's presentation, Noah's the least outgoing person in the whole class, as far as like would never stand up to give a presentation, would never raise his hand. But if you ask him, he'll always give good input. Well, you can see like he perfected it. He didn't just give a quick, like off the top of his head. He literally created a perfect presentation. And so it shows you his personality. So, and every personality is going to work a little different in this. So you gotta kind of adjust based on who you have on the team and where their strengths are. So if you guys have any questions, you let me know. I want to keep helping. I think the first external deadline I'll put on you is next Thursday, beginning a class. Well, after book review, I'd like to be able to see what has been compiled, what you think the best of what you've compiled. So that'll be kind of like the rough draft version of the compiling. And then I can kind of see where you're at. You can send it to me ahead of time if you got something ahead of time to get me to bounce ideas off of it. But, and then I would leave it up to your compiler to be as creative as they want to be with the way they put that all together. But this isn't the final presentation, so I don't want them to spend a ton of time creating like this big blowout presentation, because I don't want them to waste work on that and then end up, I have a different format after that. So just so you know. Okay, does that make sense for you guys?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to send you guys back to the other breakout rooms, and then you can drop in. Let's see here. So Max, you're in the room with Katie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. Moving you right now. Let's see. Sorry. Breakout room 1. There you go. Caleb, breakout room 2. Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I did want to remind you guys that when you first come on, if you go ahead and mute your audio, because today I could hear someone going, like that.
Bad
And so
noises.
I don't know what was going on, but there was no picture, but I could still hear audio. I'm sure it was just they were thinking about something, but there's all kinds of horror stories out there about that kind of stuff. Okay, so anyway, what do we have for team names? Caleb and Max's team. Anyone can jump in and give me, but I need a name for the team that Max is leading and a name for the team Caleb's leading.
All right, I just want to preface this with I did not come up with his name. Okay.
Understood.
I mean, I was part of this. That was not the driving factor. All right.
Okay. All right. It must have your name in it or something.
It does.
Yep,
Yes.
I knew it.
All right. Centennial Mascots. It's like mascot, but with Max.
Max Scott.
There you go, Katie.
Centennial
spelled it
Max
out for you.
Scotts. There you go. Awesome. Oh, yes. Max Scotts. Got it. I like it. Okay. All right. Even if I didn't like it, I'd say I like it, but I do like it. Okay. And then the other team.
So for our team, we decided to have the mindset that we want this to be first and foremost successful for the school in all aspects. And we also want this to carry on into each of our careers. So we want to be able to reference back and feel no shame. So we have decided to go with the name Operation Century.
Operation Century. Great.
We had talked about making our team name At Least We're Not Jared, but we decided on Centennial Max.
Yeah. That's I think that's the Missouri state license plate is At Least We're Not Arkansas. Yeah. So and you wouldn't have want to use Caleb's name in the team name because it would have been like a bunch of whiny babies or something like that. You know, that just wouldn't have been good. That would not engender confidence. So excellent. Okay, so Centennial Mascots and Operation Century. I love both the names. Your team leaders will be staying in touch with you. The hard deadline next Thursday. I need to see a rough draft of what has been compiled, and then we'll go from there. For the two compilers, Jared and Katie, if you have any questions, you can contact me anytime. Leaders, of course, whatever I can do to make you successful, I want to help. So I'm excited to see where we go from this. Those that have book reviews next week, be ready. It'll be a great opportunity. Obviously, you can just tell the story of the book like what David did. That's fine. If you use a PowerPoint, sometimes that does help a little bit of maybe you staying on track, but it depends on how you like to deliver speeches. So anyway, hey, thank you guys very much, and I'll see some of you in a few minutes. Bye.